Guys, the Fat and Made Quick is back again. 2 videos in the same day. This time I'm going to be talking about UFC 154, St-Pierre versus Condit. Very, very interesting card. Top to bottom is pretty good. I'm going to start off with the Facebook portion of the preliminary card. The first fight is Steven Siler versus Darren Elkins. I'm going for Steven Siler. The next bout is a welterweight bout between Stephen Thompson and Bassam Youssef. I'm going for Stephen Thompson. The next bout is a bantamweight bout between Ivan Menjivar and Azamat Gashimov. I'm going for Ivan Menjivar. The next fight, which is the last on the Facebook portion of the card, is a featherweight bout between Antonio Carvalho and Rodrigo Dam. Just having a little look of what's going down in Chinatown. I'm gonna have to go with Antonio Carvalho. Yep, gonna go with Antonio Carvalho. Kind of a toss up between the two, but Antonio Carvalho. Right, the next fight, which is going down on FX. This is the FX portion of the card now, guys. Is a lightweight bout between Mark Boach and Rafael dos Anjos. Rafael dos Anjos is coming off pretty two decent wins. Kamel Shalarus and Anthony Njikawani. Not Njikawani. And we got Mark Boach, who's obviously coming off 2 wins over Nick Lentz and John Alessio. Slipped my mind for a second there. I'm gonna have to go with Boach. He's only really lost. He's only had 4 losses in the UFC total. Other than the Mac Danzig loss, which I don't really like to remember that, he's lost to 2 UFC lightweight champions in Frankie Edgar and in Ben Henderson, and then lost to a top contender Jim Miller. You know, he's beaten, Dustin Hazler and a few other guys. Not really much to mention, but they've both beaten pretty good opposition. I mean, Dos Anjos, like I said, beat Njikawani and Shalarus. He's beaten Terrier and Rob Emerson, and George Soteropoulos. It is a pick'em. It is a pretty hard one, but I'm gonna go with Mark Boach. There you go. The next bout is a lightweight bout between Sam Stout and John McDenzie. I'm going for Sam Stout. The next fight is a middleweight bout between Nick Ring and Konstantinos Philippou. I'm going with Konstantinos Philippou. And the last bout on the not Facebook. I said Facebook. Keep forgetting shit today. The FX portion of the card is Patrick Cote versus Alessio Sakara. Patrick Cote last time out lost, unfortunately, to Kung Lee. He's getting a second shot. I should imagine if he loses this, he's out on his arse. Alessio Sakara last time out lost to Brian Stan. I really like Alessio Sakara, not just because he's Italian like me, but he has big power in his hands, and he has beaten some pretty good competition in his time in the UFC. If you look at his last 2 losses, it doesn't actually read that bad. He lost to Chris Weideman and Brian Stan. Before that, was on a 3-fight winning streak against Joe Vepedo, Talis Litis, and James Irvin. And then before that, lost to Chris Lieben. So he's losing to top guys. He's not losing to bums. I'm gonna have to go with my man Alessio Sakara. Got to go with Alessio Sakara, the Italian. I think he actually is the only Italian on the roster. So got to big him up there. Okay, we're now on to the main portion of the card here, people. The first bout is a featherweight bout between Mark Hominick and Pablo Garza. Mark Hominick, as we all know, is on a 3-fight losing streak, losing to Jose Aldo, Chan Sung Jung, and Eddie Yagin. A lot of people said that Eddie Yagin didn't win that fight. I've watched it a couple of times, and I definitely thought Eddie Yagin had nicked 2 rounds off him. So it was a genuine loss in my opinion. Pablo Garza came into the UFC, with 2 of the best finishes I've ever seen in the UFC. With a flying KO knee within 51 seconds of the first round, got a knockout of the night there, and then his second fight beat Yves Jabane with a flying triangle choke, got submission of the night there, but he's lost 2 fights in a row two pretty decent competition in that weight division to Dustin Poirier and Dennis Bermudez. It's a difficult one because if Mark Hominick loses, will they cut him? For sure, if Pablo Garza loses, he's going to get cut. It's a difficult one for me. I'm gonna have to go with Mark Hominick purely because he's fought some of the best guys in that division through his entire career, other than just two really good finishes from Pablo Garza. So I'm gonna have to go with Mark Hominick. The next bout, excuse me, is a light heavyweight fight between Cyrille Diabaté and Chad Griggs. Quickly, Cyrille Diabaté should take this. He's got very, very, very good kickboxing. His only losses in the UFC to Anthony Perosh and Alexander Gustafsson, both by rear naked choke. He's beaten Tom DeBlass, Steve Cantwell and Louis Kane in his UFC debut. Chad Griggs, obviously a former heavyweight, coming down to light heavyweight. Last time out, lost two in his UFC debut to Travis Brownie. Before that, beat two very mediocre fighters in Valentine Overeem and Bobby Lashley. So yeah, I'm going to have to go with Cyrille Diabaté because I don't think that Chad Griggs is going to take this to the ground. I think this is going to be a stand-up war and Diabaté is going to knock him out. The next bout is a middleweight bout between Francis Carmont and Tom Lawlor. Carmont is on a 3-fight winning streak, beating Chris Camozzi, Magnus Simmerlad and Carlos Vamela. Last two by finishes. Tom Lawlor hasn't been looking very good. I'm going to have to put this call on hold, people, so bear with me a moment. It's on hold. Tom Lawlor has been looking himself recently. He lost to Aaron Simpson, Joe Dawson, then beat Patrick Cote, lost to Chris Weidman, beat Jason McDonald, so he hasn't been beating the best of the best here. It's another pick'em for me. I'm probably going to have to pick Kampmann purely because he is on like something like a 7 or 8 fight winning streak, 3 of them in the UFC, so he's on the up and up. So I'm going to have to go with my man Francis Kampmann. Right, the co-main event of the evening, very, very interesting fight between Martin the Hitman Kampmann and Johny Hendricks. Kampmann's coming off 3 wins, one over Rick Story, one over Thiago Alves, and the other one over Jake Ellenberger. What can I say? His last 3 fights have been pretty fucking good. Especially the last 2. I mean, submission of the night and knockout of the night. Beating 2 top guys in Ellenberger and Alvarez, even in Rick Story. And then we've got Johny Hendricks, who obviously is coming off 2 very big wins over 2 of the top guys in that division in John Fitch and Koscheck. It's a hard one because however much Martin Kampmann does have big power, but he hasn't actually clean knocked someone out in his whole career. I think he has, but that's in his very, very early days. In the UFC, it's all been TKO. He hasn't actually cleanly KO'd someone, where we all know that Johny Hendricks has that power. He can knock you out with one punch. But Martin Kampmann always kind of finds a way to win. Like, you cannot sleep on him. Like in the Thiago Alves fight, he was losing the whole fight. Comes to the third round, bang, pulls off the submission. You just can't sleep. It's a very hard fight for me to choose, and it is again another pick'em fight. I'm gonna have to go with Martin Kampmann because I got a feeling this is gonna be the eliminator. I think whoever wins here is gonna get the title shot. It really is hard for me to choose. You've got 2 guys coming off of both 2 big wins against top guys in that division over top 10 guys in that division, so it is really, really hard for me to say. But I'm going to have to go. Yeah, I've got to do it. I'm going to have to go with Martin Kampmann. Yep, that's my pick, Martin Kampmann. Don't be surprised if Johny Hendricks wins, but I've got to pick Martin Kampmann. That's my pick. Okay, now we have what everyone's been waiting for. for over a year and a half, the return of Georges St-Pierre. So it's a welterweight bout for the undisputed welterweight championship of the world of the UFC. We got Georges St-Pierre versus Carlos Condit. Georges St-Pierre, obviously, we all know who Georges St-Pierre is. All know the kind of tear he's been on for the last 5 years that he hasn't lost. Suffered obviously an ACL injury and has been out for well over a year, for about 18-19 months now. Carlos Condit has beaten everyone in the division: Roy McDonald, Jake Ellenberger, Dan Hardy, Dong Yong Kim, and last time out Nick Diaz. His only loss is a split decision, which is his UFC debut to Martin Kampmann. This is another very hard one to pick because Condit has been looking very good. The only reason I'm not out and out saying this is a whitewash, GSP is going to win no problem, is because we don't know how he's actually going to be. For me the big question is the takedown. Can he get the takedown since his injury? We don't know how he's going to be. This is the first fight back. So if he goes out there and within the first minute or 2 minutes he's got Condit on the ground and Condit can't get back up, then we know what's going to happen. It's going to be the same old GSP fight, and we know that he's okay. If we start seeing Condit stuff in the takedown, then that's when we got to start worrying, because GSP ain't the same old GSP. And what we all have to realise, that if GSP cannot secure those takedowns, which is really for the last 5 or 6 years that has been GSP's game, if he can't get the takedown, then that's it for GSP. That's it for him at the top of that division, because his striking really isn't. I mean, it's okay. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's not shit, but he would then really have to become a totally different fighter. He'd have to become an amazing kickboxer with good takedown defense, which it's not an easy thing to become. But guys like Chuck Liddell, made careers out of it. I'm gonna go with GSP because I'm not an idiot, and I'm gonna pick GSP. I think a lot of people are gonna pick Condit because I think with me, they're dubious of how he's gonna be, if he can get the takedown, all this and all that. But looking at some of his rehab stuff and the way he's been going, he does look pretty good. He does look in very good shape. He's still young. He's only 31, so he should be able to heal and recover pretty quickly. So yeah, that's my pick, Georges St-Pierre. I don't think I've ummed a lot in this video. If I have, please let me know. This is going down, just to let you guys know, the 17th of November, so just after the Macau event, which my video is up for that. Take a look at it if you haven't. Give me your predictions. What do you guys think? Put them down in the comments. Like the video if you like it. If you don't like it, dislike it. What can I say to you? It's your opinion. That's it, guys. So until then, enjoy the fights. And you know what I'm actually going to do, because I'm in the mood of doing some videos, I think I'm going to do the UFC on Fox, Henderson versus Diaz. So that might even be up as well today. I might even knock out another one. If I do, ciao for now.